What's up? Hello, everyone. Welcome into Fantasy Filmball, the show where we turn movies into sports and sports into something we don't talk about here. My name's Matt.
My name's Dyl, and today we have a really fun episode. We're back with our third weekly roundup of awards, but this one we're doing a little bit different. You have everything you want from one of these episodes. Later on, we're going to have some predictions. We're going to be recapping the Critics' Choice Awards, but right now, we're basically live reacting to the SAG nominations.
Basically, it's a few hours later. I was working, but I have not seen anything. I don't know if you've seen anything, Dylan. I'm on the move right now. So this is all brand new. You're going to get our full reactions and then a little discussion of what this means for the Oscar race. So yeah, it's the SAG Actor Awards now. Not even SAG, just the Actor Awards. Ew. Ew. Ew.
I gotta check myself. I keep saying SAG, but you're right. It's the Actor Awards because today all we're doing is talking about actors, which I guess let's go ahead and kick things off and let's talk about Stunt Ensemble, which I think this award show forgets that they have because this one I was spoiled with because they posted on their Instagram. They didn't even wait for the live stream. It was like 15 minutes before the live stream started and boom, Stunt Ensemble predictions. So we didn't get a chance to do actual predictions here in the channel. So
No.
Matt, what were you expecting to show up here?
I mean, I'm expecting Mission Impossible. I think that Sinners and One Battle After Another are a given. And then I feel like this is going to be an early indicator of what we're going to see today with Wicked. So if Wicked's here, that makes sense. Then that's 4. And number 5, I think maybe F1 would be number 5.
Yeah, I would share the same 5 as you. I would just exclude out, maybe dumbly enough, I would exclude out One Battle After Another, and I would include Avatar Fire and Ash. They did the first 2, so they might as well do the third one, but let me go ahead and read off these in alphabetical order. So we're starting up with F1 getting in here, which I think should be the Stunt Ensemble winner, but it hasn't won anything quite yet.
Okay, F1. So I'm 1 for 1 there. That's good. That's solid.
Next up, we have Frankenstein.
Whoa. Okay, no, that's really good. There is some good stunts in Frankenstein. So what are they going to leave out then, is my question.
Well, we're in the Fs. That means Avatar's already been skipped over. Mission
Oh, yeah, of
Impossible,
course.
The Final Reckoning is our third movie here, which should be our winner. It's won every single stunt precursor that we've had so far.
Yeah, so, okay, from here, I feel like One Battle After Another and Sinners are both going to be there. So I'm going to say Wicked might be bad signs for you.
And that would be correct. One Battle and Sinners rounds out our stunt ensemble 5 here. If you go off of Gold
Man.
Derby, if you go off Awards Expert, most people here got either 3 or 4 out of 5. Frankenstein was not even the top 8 on any platform. And F1 surprisingly was number 5 in a lot of places, which to me, that should be number 2.
Yeah. Okay, so now I guess the question is because last year, Wicked being in Stunt Ensemble was a big question mark for us. We both were very surprised when it was in stunts because we were like, what stunts? But it not being here this year says to me, maybe this is not going to perform very well with SAG. Maybe we're going to get some misses. Maybe it's not going to make SAG Ensemble. Interesting. Okay. I don't think we can really make too many takeaways from this category, though.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. The fact that Wicked and I would extend that out to Avatar as well. Both of those not being here may show some weaker support with some more award shows down the line, like PGA. And the fact that Frankenstein is here, I had Frankenstein in my ensemble predictions. So the fact that I got in here makes it look pretty good for that potentially
Yeah,
happen a little bit down the line.
overperformance, big overperformance. I mean, not that Alordi was ever at risk, but like they clearly love the movie.
Yes. So we're going to move over to outstanding performance by a female in a supporting role. Again, we didn't have a chance to do predictions here on the channel, but my 5 would essentially
Okay.
be the top 4 of the Oscars, give or take where you consider Inga. And I would take her out and I would plug in Wumi Musaku. And that would be my 5.
It is weird because I think Inga is in win contention in most awards bodies, but she's very snubbable here because SAG has shown they're not big on nominating unknown first time in the Hollywood sphere foreign performers. So Inga is at risk. I think Elle Fanning has more of a chance than her. So right now I would go Amy Madigan, Teyana Taylor, Ariana Grande, Wunmi Osaku, and Elle Fanning would be my list.
I misspoke. Woomy, I would consider in the top five at the moment. I had Emily Blunt in here as well. That would be my fifth, and I had no sentimental value girlies in my top five. Kicking
Okay, so you're going alphabet bias as well with Emily Blunt.
a little bit so. I have Smash Machine getting two. I think it's like this year's, you could call it Last Showgirl or Naiad, just both popping up, showing
Yeah.
here, but are they real? Probably not.
Okay, so let's start it off. What's our first nominee?
Well, if you want to talk about alphabet bias, Odessa Zion is here for Marty Supreme.
Yep. I was wondering if that could happen. So I'm going to say now I'm adjusting no Elle Fanning. No Elle Fanning, no sentimental value.
Next up is Ariana Grande for Wicked for Good. So even if it misses out on Stunt Ensemble, it still finds its lead star in the supporting actress category.
Okay, so that does mean we've skipped Elle Fanning.
Next up would be Amy Madigan. So we've skipped over both sentimental value women
Yep.
here. And rounding
It
out our
doesn't mean
list,
anything big.
we have Wumi Musaku and Tiana Taylor.
Okay, there we go. That makes sense. We see the alphabet bias with Odessa, but it's not huge. That's not a huge change. So yeah, I'll take it. It makes sense to me. I
And
think
with
this is really what Odessa needed to save her, and I think this is huge for Wunmi, who has been here and there a little bit. So this is really big for her.
And I would say alphabet bias is something that's really just more confirmation bias. I think there's times like here, Emily Blunt, B, someone who SAG loves, they jump over. So showing it's not exactly just the first five names they see, but more so the first five names that they may see in movies that they really like. Because Smash Machine is
Yeah,
probably a movie that they don't like that much, while Marty Supreme is a movie that, at least seemingly so with the nomination here, is a movie that they're really digging.
absolutely, 100%. Okay, so let's move over to supporting actor, where that Critics' Choice six. You pick five of those six. I would leave out Adam Sandler and keep the other five.
I would leave out Paul Mescal, but it's something in the last few days I've been warming more back up to him. He was someone that we talked about, especially later this episode. Because one thing you'll notice is we're recording these after the second half of this episode.
Yeah.
Paul is someone who, out of the gate, we thought really high of, starts to miss a lot, and then now it's like, where do we do? He's in the stronger film, but Adam Sandler is someone that SAG has gone out for in the past. They did him for Hustle. Will they do him again here for Jay Kelly?
All right. So let's start from the top. Where are we?
Well, if you look right behind me, we have Sinners. Miles Caden is getting a nomination here at the
Whoa.
Actor Awards.
Yo, okay. He needed that. He absolutely fucking needed that. That's incredible. Um, right in an era where I thought Delroy Lindo was the one climbing up. Bam, Miles Caton's there. Good for that kid. That's great. Good for Miles.
I mean, in both of these categories so far, the surprise nomination is the youngest person in contention with Odessa and now with Miles. So, and I
Also,
think
both of these categories, the surprise nomination is the first nomination up.
that is true. So
Alphabet.
going to our second one, we have Benicio del Toro in One Battle After Another,
Okay.
followed by Jacob Elordi in Frankenstein.
All right. If they snub Stellan Skarsgård, I'm done. I'm done.
We have Paul Mescal in Hamnet.
Okay. Now
So we
it's
have one
10
spot
or it's
left.
10 or Skarsgård. And sentimental value already missed two. So I don't know. I don't know.
Well, we're gonna make it three because Sean Penn rounds out our five for One Battle After
Damn
Another.
you, SAG. Damn you. So that means it's got to miss SAG Ensemble at this point.
Yeah, it's missed out for three of its four potential acting nominations here at SAG. And something that I think this confirms to me is last year, Amelia Perez, we had this giant question mark over. It's an international movie, but it's so big in the race. What will it do at the SAG Awards? And I think a large reason to why it hit every nomination at SAG was due to the fact that it's Netflix. It's this huge contender. Netflix is pushing it behind and getting their actors, something that we know Netflix is amazing at, even with films that aren't very strong. And this year we're seeing with Sentimental Value, a film that could potentially be top five, missing out on all of its supporting acting nominations.
Yeah, I will have to see if Renata Rhymes makes it. So I think that's a good cue to go over to Best Lead Actress next.
Awesome. And that here for our predictions, I was having who did I have in here? I had Jessie Buckley. I had Rose Byrne, who's someone I thought maybe could potentially be a snub, but I think just she has too much going for her at this moment. I had to Chase Infinity, I had Emma Stone, and I had Cynthia Erivo with a love for Wicked, but Wicked's already missed one, so maybe she will make it in here.
Yeah, so I swap out Emma Stone with Renata Reinsva in my predictions because Emma Stone has not been campaigning and Begonia has very little visibility at this point. So I'm gonna go for that and say, hey, sentimental value, you get 1 for 4.
So kicking things off, we start off with the Bees, Jessie Buckley, Hamnet, probably on her way to a sweep.
Yep, absolutely. It was a given.
Next up, we have Rose Byrne, also in the Bees for If I Had Legs, I Kick You. So far, our top two contenders are here.
All right, let's keep it moving. No surprises.
Well, here's a surprise to us, maybe not to other people, is Kate Hudson in Song Sung Blue.
Those motherfuckers. Those I I can't believe this shit. That's no. Absolutely no.
So,
Absolutely unforgivably no.
so they jump over Cynthia Erivo for Wicked for Good. We've gone over the E's.
It's so dead. Oh my god.
Next one up is Chase Infinity for One Battle After Another. She continues to get in every single
Good for
category.
her. All right. Stoner Reinsva. I'm feeling like you're gonna be right. It's gonna be Stone. Oh god.
And yet to
Renata.
miss a lead actress nomination anywhere is Emma Stone for Begonia.
Wow. Okay. With no campaigning whatsoever. Zero.
I think that
So
just is a
sentimental
test.
value. Jesus.
I think this nomination for Emma Stone is just a test to show how big of a star she is, how much actors really do respect her. And even if the early reviews out of Venice and some of the early critical buzz was, hey, this is good Yorgos, but it's not great Yorgos, at least for the actors here and for some of the precursors that we've seen so far, where Begonia has been doing enough, they're still like, it's good. We still like it.
Yeah. Jesus, man. This is devastating for sentimental value. I don't think it's really going to change anything, except now I feel like the hopes of a double supporting actress nom I think are pretty much gone. But otherwise, I'm not going to overreact to this underperformance. I will say, Arivo needed that nomination.
I
Arivo
agree.
needed that nomination.
I agree. I think with Arrivo missing out here, with it missing out on stunts, and we'll have to see what it does in ensemble. Today has not been a great day for Wicked for Good. However, we're going to move over to the outstanding performance by a male in a lead performance, which so far I would say my expected five is the four of the same five I would have for the Oscar. It's Timmy, it's Leo, it's Ethan Hawke, it's Michael B. Jordan, and then for my fifth here, I was going with Dwayne The Rock Johnson, the pair up of Emily Blunt. But since Blunt's not here, I don't think The Rock will be here either.
Yeah, I'm going to go Timmy, Leo, Michael B. Jordan, and then I'm gonna go with Ethan Hawke and Joel Edgerton. So yeah, that's my list. I do still think that George Clooney or I do still think that George Clooney or Dwayne, yeah, The Rock could surprise. So I'm gonna lock in that though. I am gonna say this is not a place that Wagner Moura makes it. If he makes it and Sentimental Value doesn't, ooh, all my predictions are wrong then.
Yeah, so far we have yet to see a neon anything really show up, and Alphabet Bias has struck in every category, so let's kick things off here with lead actor. Up first, we have Timothy Chalamet for Marty Supreme. Next up, we have Leonardo DiCaprio for One Battle
Nice,
After
nice,
Another.
nice.
So that kicks out George Clooney, which I guess makes sense. If there's no Sandler, when it makes sense for
Yep.
Clooney to happen.
So exactly. I like Sandler's made it in places that Clooney has not made it. So yeah, this is all tracking so far.
Next up is Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon.
All right, all tracking. So we're gonna get Michael B. Jordan next.
Michael B. Jordan is next, and that means that we've passed over Joel Edgerton for Train Dreams.
Oh, which means, but we've
Who do you,
also passed over Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
and who do you think is our fifth? I'll give you a hint, and it's not Wagner Moura.
No, it's okay because we've passed Dwayne Johnson. We've passed Hugh Jackman for Song Sung Blue. That would be a fucking nightmare. Um, I'm at a complete loss of who it could be.
Well, Let's go back to the last category. You said Emma Stone's not campaigning. You know who is campaigning for Begonia? Jesse Plemons. He's showing up here.
Cool.
SAG is coming out for Jesse Plemons. And later in this episode, we have a whole conversation about where Begonia is currently doing in the awards race and two actor nominations. And I would expect Begonia to do pretty well in the BAFTA long list. Makes me feel very secure that this is in our top 8 of the Best Picture race.
That really, really, really helps Begonia. I know I was kind of well, I was future tense now because it will come up. I was talking shit on Begonia's chances in the second part of this video, but this really, really helps Begonia. It shows that it does have visibility, which I did not think that it had. So good for Jesse Plemons. Also, that's our first snub that was not at the beginning. Actually, also, that was our first surprise that was not the beginning of the alphabet.
Yeah, and I mean, for alphabet bias, you could have said like, oh, Joel Edgerton could have been here, George Clooney, even going into the
Yeah.
Jays of The Rock. So the fact that Plemons got in at P, I think just speaks to the strength of either him or to the performance or to this movie maybe being a little bit stronger than we all would have thought. Because like you said, later in this episode, we do talk a little bit about Begonia, and I had at number 9, but I think I might have to move it up a little bit, at least to number 8 above Secret Agent in my rankings. It's no longer a bubble contender. I mean, PGA could screw us in a day, and PGA
Yeah.
snubs it, but as long as it gets PGA, I think this is secure top 8.
All right, so let's move on to the big one, the big kahuna, the big bad category, SAG Ensemble.
And this is one where I feel like I went a little against the stray in terms of predictions. I obviously had Sinners in one battle. I followed that up with Frankenstein, Marty Supreme, and then I had Wicked for Good at my 5th slot. Wicked and Frankenstein were both currently not in the top 5 on prediction places. That would be Hamnet and Jay, or that would be Hamnet and Sentimental Value.
Yeah, I mean, man, I had one battle, Sinners, Marty. I think they're all still in, but I had Wicked and Sentimental Value, which both underperformed like crazy here. So I don't feel good about either of those. I think I don't know what I'd put in instead. I don't know what I Hamnet maybe. We'll see.
So first up, we have Frankenstein.
Wow, mad overperformance for Frankenstein.
I think this just echoes something that we've been talking about on this channel ever since we started award season conversation back in like March. And what we've been seeing as of late is the guilds are going out for their Netflix movie like they do every single year. People are like, oh my gosh, it's Jay Kelly. No, it's Train Dreams. No, it's just Frankenstein. DGA is going to follow up later this week. PGA is going to do it. BAFTA, I
Yeah,
think BAFTA 5 will do it as well.
industry loves Frankenstein. It is undeniably an industry favorite.
Next up, we have Hamnet getting in here.
Yep. Yeah, yeah.
Hamnet's
Okay.
one I had on my outside because I didn't have Paul Mescal in the nomination, but when he showed up there, to me, is like, well, it's just going to be in the SAG 5.
Dude, Wicked is so dead. Wicked is so dead.
And running out our list, it's the obvious 3, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, and Sinners.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm just gonna get ahead of it because people are gonna be like, why are you saying Wicked's dead and Sentimental Value's not? Wicked, like Wicked's for theater kids. SAG is a bunch of actors. This is the theater kids guild. It needed it. SAG has a history, a historical repeated performance of snubbing international films. Emilia Perez is a rare exception. And I was maybe silly to think that SAG would go for Sentimental Value off of one movie that was an exception, not the rule. So, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Definitely hurts Sentimental Value, but not as much as it hurts Wicked.
Yeah, for me, I think we both have been Wicked believers here as of late due to the fact that it could get support from various different bodies, the actors, the texts, the music, the crafts. And I mean, here's kind of showing the actors aren't coming up for it. If Revo couldn't even make this 5, a 5 that
Yeah,
probably wasn't going to do an international performance of Reinsva and could be more susceptible of snubbing more art house type stuff like Rose Byrne, and instead they go with Kate Hudson over Revo. For me, Wicked now has to move out of my 10, and as you'll see us discuss later, my 10th slides between some other blockbusters, which you'll hear my reasons pro those, but now talking, I guess, after that, but before when you're seeing it, Wicked no longer is my 10. It's probably down to like 14 or 15.
yeah, that was big bad for Wicked. But who knows? Maybe PGA could rescue it, although I don't see why they would.
I mean, I think even if it
So
makes PGA, it doesn't make a difference. I think films like Avatar, films like Wicked, they should be expected to be at PGA. PGA did Black Panther Wakanda Forever, but no one else did Wakanda Forever. So like
Yeah.
I think like those films should make it there. If they miss there, that's an issue. And I think Wicked is a movie that should be at SAG. If not in stunts, at least in Ensemble 5. And the fact that they passed it up for Hamnet and they passed it up for Frankenstein, I think just shows that Wicked is on its way out, which a lot of people said a
Yeah.
month and a half ago. And I think we're both now agreeing with at this point.
Well, I remember when we saw Avatar, we were saying it's you pick one of Avatar or Wicked and you drop the other. And I think now it's coming to you pick neither. You pick neither.
I think that's where we could be going to, and I think F1 could zoom its way into that 10th slot based off of those CCA wins the other night and the fact that it's hit a lot of the things it needs to. Just F1's issue is it hasn't hit the shows that Avatar and Wicked also missed in terms of like CCA, SAG, obviously, and they
Yeah.
probably won't make DGA or even the BAFTA 10 either. Maybe F1 shocks in the BAFTA 10 list, but I still think we got to reserve a slot for one of those blockbusters, but they're all not making the best case at this moment.
Absolutely. Anyways, that brings us to the end of actor award reactions. So I guess let's just move on to the rest of the video.
And now we're back in the future. You just saw our live SAG reactions. Matt was walking the streets of New York.
Yeah.
I had no clue what was going on, and I was reading off the awards. But that's happening tomorrow. We don't really know how that's going to play out yet because we're here the day before doing our
Ooh, I
third
hope on paper
annual.
it's get nominated.
Yes, our third annual or third weekly awards roundup. They haven't really become weekly awards roundups, but when key things happen inside the awards race. So we're back here. And before I quit my yapping, this is the first time your people out there are seeing this Sinners poster. It's here. What I'm going to keep here is the film I want to see win some Oscars, win some awards. But if the Golden Globes happens and Sinners loses drama, that's going to get changed out. One battle will just find its way in there. They lied to me with that cord, though. They said it was 10 or 12 feet. That's like 4 feet.
Wait, they lied to you?
And they lied to me. They lied to me. I don't like this. I don't like this. But the Critics' Choice, they didn't lie to us. They kicked off award season. So that's what we're going to recap here first. The 31st Annual Critics' Choice Awards. We had some surprise wins. We had some expected wins. Matt, where should we start?
Well, I think let's start with the most surprising award of the night, which has to be Jacob Elordi for Frankenstein. My God, what the hell? What? What happened? Like, that was the biggest scream I have screamed in quite some time.
It's so crazy because, like, going back to this amazing thing that you put together here of the critics groups and all of the regional winners and whatnot, Elordi's won two. Two. And then he wins the Critics' Choice over Benicio, who had 17, Sean Penn, who had
Yeah.
6, Stellan Skarsgård, who had 8. It's like, what? I love this win. I love this win. And I think the funniest thing here, shout out to a few people in our Discord. I joke and call them degenerates at times because they love the Oscar betting scene. They love to go in Kalshi and see the numbers. And Vegas called Jacob Elordi. In like the 15 minutes leading up to it, they noticed, hey, someone is dumping money into Elordi. And then Elordi magically won. Now, is this the start of something? Or do you think this is just Critics' Choice being weird Critics' Choice because of maybe vote splitting, 2-1 battle guys, international performance, which this category or this group never really goes for, and a fading Paul Mescal and Hamnet?
I think vote splitting is very much a part of what happened here. I don't think it's everything that happened here, but it's very, very much a part. Something that this kind of feels like to me is that not only do you have the vote split of the one battle guys who are draining each other's bases, but you also have the possibility that the Critics' Choice are trying to make something happen, which they have done. We always joke that the Critics' Choice try to guess the Oscars. They also try and influence the Oscars. And by doing Jacob Elordi, they have almost certainly secured him a spot in the lineup. Almost certainly secured him a spot. Him getting up there to give a speech is big. I mean, this is the same for Angela Bassett with Black Panther Wakanda Forever. She starts winning those early awards. She's guaranteed a spot in the lineup, which she was not guaranteed before that. She was a fringe contender, and then bam, Critics' Choice, bam, Golden Globe.
And I guess let's just touch on the other 3 acting winners here because these went, I would say, to the majority of people's expected avenues. Timmy in lead actor, Jessie Buckley in actress, and Amy Madigan in weapons. I know personally you and I were not predicting these three to win across the board. We may have had some of them, but we didn't have all of these. And I think this is really setting up the ship for what we could have as potential sweeps, as well as potential each category or each award show does a different person in this category. And it's gonna be so fun to see play out these next few weeks.
Yeah, so okay, let's talk actress. You went Jessie Buckley, I went Rose Byrne. I was proven wrong. I just thought that this would be the one place that might disrupt a Buckley sweep. And Buckley has proven she's sweeping. There's not a single award she's going to lose from here on out because who would she lose to? Rose Byrne is the runner-up, but if she can't win Critics' Choice, where's she winning? I mean, probably Globe Comedy, but that's another thing. But yeah, you were completely right about Jessie Buckley. Now, are you feeling like she just continues the sweep the way I am, or are you feeling like she might lose somewhere else?
I mean, honestly, I struggle to really see where she would lose because in Golden Globe, she's against her competition. They're in two separate categories. BAFTA is her home turf, and then we have SAG. And I mean, we have a film that could potentially get into ensemble and a supporting actor performance, and then we have a film that would be its lone nomination. And I think that SAG has shown, especially as of late, they will go with either the film that they like more or the performance that's more showy. And I would say in both of those instances, it's Jessie Buckley and Hamnet.
Now, let's get to the controversial category of the night, Best Lead Actor, where Timothy Chalamet beats Michael B. Jordan. We definitely expected that to happen, but the internet has been having a time, have they not, Dylan?
Yeah, it's been an interesting few days, and there's always going to be some flack that happens with award shows because everyone has personal different takes. But like in my nearly, I would say, 10 years of loving Oscars and following the awards race, I've never seen conversations just pop up with like my friends on like Instagram or on Twitter. Like I've never seen people actually have an issue. Normally it's just like, oh, that movie won. I've never heard of that movie. But then it's like this time it's like, oh no, like what do you mean the Timmy movie won? He doesn't do anything. No one's seen this movie, blah blah blah. And I'm like, personally, predicting wise, objectiveness aside, I don't know if Michael B. Jordan would even be number two. Leo's there. Ethan Hawke's there with the critics groups, but I know Michael B. Jordan is currently the critic group winner. He currently has the most. He's got 12, where I guess Timmy is now one behind him after the events of the last few days. So the tides might be turning, and while at the time of Critics' Choice, Michael B. Jordan was the leader of critics, by the time we get to the end of critics season, Timmy could just be out in front.
It's just been so interesting to see. Like you were saying that you read a tweet where someone was saying someone made up a bullshit story about how the Critics' Choice went up to them at the up to the Sinners group at the show and said, "You guys have to choose one actor who can win, only one." And they said, and Michael B. Jordan entered the room and said, "It's going to be Miles Caton. I'll take other awards later on in the season, but Miles Caton will take this one." They're not in the same cat. None of this makes you don't. That's not how vote. That's not how it works.
I hope it was just like rage bait, like when you watch ESPN and you can just go on and see like the logs of awful takes by like Skip Bayless or Colin Cowherd or Stephen A or whoever. Why those dudes obviously know what they're talking about. They get paid, but they also get paid to rage bait you. I don't think random person on Twitter is being paid to rage bait me. I don't remember them having a blue check.
I saw another I saw this was just on Threads where someone posted, "Guys, we all know that Sinners won every award, right? It's just that Hollywood didn't actually want them to win, so they made the Critics' Choice change the results." What are you talking about? What are
So
you
fun.
fucking talking about? Like, if we thought that Everything Ever All at Once fans were bad and obnoxious, if we thought that Wicked fans last year were obnoxious, like they're doing like Trump in the 2020 election for a movie. Like they're like count the votes, recount the votes, stop the count. Like what are we talking about here? This is insane. Michael B. Jordan lost fair and square, but we're gonna see this all season long. It's gonna be a fucking nightmare.
That's what's going to make this week fun is we're going to have Golden Globes, a body that you'll see in our predictions later this week. I expect Sinners to win big there, taking multiple prizes. But if it doesn't, I think we're going to get what people were fearing that the year of Barbie was going to be, or they were fearing what Wicked would have been last year, where if it started to win stuff and then magically loses things out of nowhere, where obviously that didn't happen. Maybe this year it doesn't happen as well. But it's been an interesting 48 hours since the Critics' Choice, and I think it's only going to get more interesting in both a positive way and a like, okay, maybe we need to chill a little bit way. Because I mean, I love Sinners. It's my personal favorite movie of the year. But I can objectively say, like, I prefer Timmy in lead actor. Doesn't mean Michael B. Jordan's awful. Just means that maybe votes, people have opinions, and opinions don't always line up. And just because opinions don't line up doesn't mean you have to violently threat people.
This is something we see every year. It's a symptom of awards season, which is people who watch 1 to 2 movies a year complaining that the person from the 1 to 2 movies that they watched doesn't win everything. But whatever happens, like we gotta chill. We gotta chill.
I'm just at least happy if people are gonna go crazy about something not winning. It's at least something that should be in the conversation because normally what we see with this stuff is people being mad, like, oh my gosh, what do you mean David Cornsweet isn't up for lead actor for Superman? And at least this year, it's someone who's at least being nominated. So at least I'll take the W's where we can get the W's. Where a category where we probably would have expected normally for some of the crazy stuff to come out and people to go a little bit off the deep end is in supporting actress. Amy Madigan is our critic sweeper. She's won 20 over double of second place, and she goes on to win here. A movie that I would go on to beg to say that the people who see 2 to 3 movies a year probably saw Weapons. But Ariana Grande, her season does not kick off here. At one point, I was predicting her here. I've cooled off the last few bits. I still think she gets nominated, but losing here, I think, ends her winning chances. Tiana Taylor comes up short. She doesn't win here, but I think she'll have other places to win down the line. Amy Madigan makes no sense. I didn't predict her. I can hold that L, but I think it's a good win.
What Amy Madigan winning here shows me is that even though this movie is not strong enough to even be nominated for picture, it is strong enough to take out 4 other movies that were nominated for picture. I don't know. I think Teyana Taylor very much could have won this, seeing just how much One Battle After Another dominated the top prizes, winning picture, director, screenplay. I mean, obviously, One Battle stumbled below the line. It did not win any of the acting categories. It did not win any of the tech categories that it could have won. Um, but yeah, I mean, clearly Amy Madigan is strong enough to beat their picture favorite.
Well, I think that brings us over to two categories that I think both you and I were pretty clear on being our winners. I think people at large thought this as well, considering the fact that they're both running away with their critics groups. Is original and adapted screenplay. Sinners takes original, One Battle takes adapted. I still think it's lame that Critics' Choice do not allow their screenplay winners to give speeches. I know we had that conversation the other night about it, but I think that would have been a nice moment for both PTA and Kugler to talk. I guess PTA probably would have spent 15 seconds saying, thank you. I know I'll be back, but thank you. But still, something that I think CCA should consider in years future is, I don't know, cutting one timeout or one commercial break, or maybe forcing TV people to talk a little bit faster. Then we can fit in our screenplay people, even if they get 30 seconds apiece.
Well, this is just like a feature of this show. We are lucky that they even give out below the line prizes to movies because in the show categories, they don't. They give the actors and they give the overall show. And like we are very, very lucky that they have categories like sound and stunts and cinematography and editing. But to a point that we got into an argument online with someone talking about the song category. Why do they present the song category, but they avoid the screenplay? Well, song is going to be something that normie viewers who are just watching because they want to see celebrities, they have more connection to that. Who gives a shit who wrote Marty Supreme? Who gives a shit who wrote Sorry Baby? Right? Like that's not gonna if Sorry Baby wins, no one's gonna be tuning in to see Eva Victor's speech. And so it's that thing when they're prioritizing the awards that are going to draw viewership, they're going to the stars. Frankly, we're lucky they even present Best Director. live.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think about. You can be upset, you can be annoyed, but that's the nature of this show. But you talked about original song. Why don't we talk about that here? Because this is one of the only precursors that does song. It's this in Golden Globes. And they went with K-pop Demon Hunters Golden, the biggest song, the fun song, the cool song, you could say, over I Lied to You, which has much more thematic resonance and visual indication to it. And I think it'll be interesting to see, does Golden go on to sweep the season? Does I Lied to You tie it up this weekend at Golden Globes? Or does the Golden Globes do something crazy and go off the deep end?
It makes a lot of sense why Golden would win this prize because the Critics' Choice Award, they do like to go with the pop stuff. They do like to go in the direction of the big hit. They don't care how a song is used in a movie. They like the fun stuff. They like the stuff that's going to make you dance a little bit. You know, they went with I'm Just Ken over What Was I Made For? And so to see them go golden here, the radio pop hit over I Lied to You, it makes a lot of sense. I don't expect that to repeat all over the place, because I Lied to You is so intrinsically tied to the movie, whereas Golden is just like the radio pop hit. But I see why it won here, and that's why I predicted it. I think that there's some big upsets that we got at the Critics' Choice Awards. Obviously, we got two F1 wins, which was crazy. The odds-on frontrunner was One Battle After Another. It was Winning Picture that easily should have been a prize that went to One Battle After Another. Um, but then F1 wins, and it takes sound and it takes editing. That is crazy. We've seen that duo in the past. Now, that duo at the Oscars has not been very powerful in the past few years. In the 2010s, if you won sound, you won editing. And if you won editing, you won sound. But lately, it's been splitting all the time.
What makes me most annoyed about these two F1 wins, I'm an F1 head, love this, is the fact that Critics' Choice is so stuck in their ways of trying to predict the Oscars that they had to give Jake Kelly a Best Picture nomination despite snubbing George Clooney, despite snubbing it in casting, despite snubbing in other key categories like cinematography and score that at the time of nominations were projected to be potential Jake Kelly nominations. But they gave F1 seven nominations, two wins, and they couldn't fit that into Best Picture. CCA, vote with what you actually like. Don't vote with what you're supposed to vote for.
Well, let's talk casting as well, because Sinners wins here. This is our first casting precursor that we have ever had. They did make it very clear it's not casting slash ensemble, it is casting big and ensemble small. Um, and that was really emphasized by the fact that it was the casting director whose name was awarded. It wasn't the cast of Sinners. It wasn't the cast of One Battle After Another. And Sinners did win here. I'm really curious to see if this keeps winning. I'm think I'm just gonna keep sticking to One Battle After Another wins casting at the Oscars. But man, Sinners is compelling. Sinners is really compelling here. And I don't know. If it wins the SAG and it won the CCA, probably won't win BAFTA. That's probably going to be Hamnet. But would I go with Sinners, which I don't think is winning any Oscars for acting, over One Battle, which I think has a possibility of winning three?
I mean, I think Sinners just checks off the boxes of what I imagine a casting win should include. It has discovery. It has using actors that you've seen before and parts that you've never seen them before. It has casting against type. It has casting the same person as two different players inside the same film. Like, it fits what you need. It's just, like you said, One Battle is probably our Best Picture winner and could win up to three acting awards. Is that too much? And I think this will be the test, is this year's what will this category look like going forward? Because we can say, like, oh, we can guess the nominations based off of the guild or based off of these precursors, X, Y, and Z, but we don't really know what the wins will go like because the guild breaks them up by so many in BAFTA. I think BAFTA is its own unique thing with its casting categories. So, interesting stuff. Just to power through some of these other CCA wins before we get to our final one that we will discuss, is a set that we all expected to win and that will continue to go on with its sweeps. You have Avatar and visual effects. You have Frankenstein doing its three category wins of production, costumes, makeup, and hairstyling. And you have Sinners over in score. But there is one category that went astray from what we were expecting, what the community at large was expecting, and that is best cinematography. Once again, proving to be something that CCA will go out on a limb to go for what they think just looks the best. And this year, it was Train Dreams.
Well, it's crazy because last year they went off of what everyone else did and they went Nosferatu, which is what the regional critics did. The regional critics went overwhelmingly Nosferatu. This year, the regional critics went overwhelmingly Sinners, and yet CCA goes Train Dreams. That's really interesting to me. And honestly, I think that shows some small cracks in Sinner's armor in this category. I can't see it be like an undisputed front runner if it's losing an award that clearly should be its to win. Like that's but it's the same. I feel the same way about One Battle losing editing as I do Sinners losing cinematography. It just makes no sense for what the CCA would be doing.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would go to the degree of maybe Train Dreams being a potential winner, but I think what this does do is it solidifies Train Dreams as one of our nominations, just like at this time last year. While I know that personally I was on the Nosferatu cinematography train, it wasn't predicted at large, but its win here really solidified the fact that it would go on to get that nomination. And I think Train Dreams is something I've had as my borderline 5 or 6 in the category, but now I can safely say it's at least number 5, if not up to number 4.
So another big surprise category in international feature, The Secret Agent beat It Was Just an Accident, which is something that we did not expect. We said that if something else were to win, it would be No Other Choice with its screenplay nomination. But I think that this is a sign of two things. The Secret Agent is being watched by more people. It is picking up a ton of steam all over the place. Like, people are paying so much attention to Secret Agent. It could win really big at the Golden Globes this weekend. I would even say that Secret Agent has a really big chance. We'll talk later about PGA and our predictions for that, but I think that it has a better chance of getting a PGA nom than It Was Just an Accident. Which brings me to point two. It Was Just an Accident is declining like crazy. The momentum around it has been dropping. While Kleber Mendonça Filho is coming out on stage and presenting Best Picture at the Critics' Choice Awards, clearly trying to draw on a Brazilian audience, bring in that Brazilian crowd, which is so enthusiastic about these film awards. It was just an accident. Jafar Panahi's press circuit ended in November, and he's kind of just been like hanging around here and there, but he's not campaigning the way that he was a few months ago. And something that's really been showing is the gap in international feature between It Was Just an Accident and Sentimental Value is closing rapidly. When we recorded our Critics' Choice predictions, it was 13 wins for Accident, 9 wins for Sentimental Value. It is currently 13 wins for It Was Just an Accident, 12 wins for Sentimental Value.
I think that dives us into our big category of the night at the Critics' Choice, and the film that won here also won at the next award show that we want to talk about, being the National Society of Film Critics. One battle after another continues its wins of these critics groups, and over at National Society of Film Critics, the runner-up were Sinners and The Secret Agent. Furthermore, point to what you said before over an international feature, the rise of The Secret Agent, the rise of Brazil, and the fact that maybe Brazil goes back-to-back in international feature this year.
That would be crazy. I don't buy it still. I don't buy it still. But yeah, I mean, One Battle winning Best Picture every is it going to lose anything this season? Has not been losing anywhere important. It has not been losing. I think
Yeah,
the only thing that I could see it lose is SAG Ensemble, but that's not really a picture prize, is it?
Yeah, I agree. In terms of picture stuff, it's currently doubled Sinners, and after that, Hamnet has won, and nothing else has won a picture prize anywhere at the film critics groups. And now that we're getting into the televised stuff, Golden Globes, it's not going against Sinners. It's not going against any of the major competitors here in Best Picture. And then BAFTA probably will go with PTA. So then it just considers PGA, WGA, and SAG, the guilds. And again, it should win its categories at those specific ones, and then it's SAG. Who knows? But yeah, it wins here, continues to win. And talking about Brazil, I think we should continue with Brazil while we're on the topic. Over an international feature or film not in the English language over here at National Society of Film Critics, Secret Agent comes out on top with It Was Just an Accident, 1 point behind in Sentimental Value over in third place. Furthermore, proof that Secret Agent continues to rack up these prizes as of late. And it's really, I think what we're going to see is Neon picks the winner here. They're gonna, and then when we get into nominations, after nominations come out, they're gonna put one of those films saying, "Campaign, win, 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 win," and that's the film I feel like more people are gonna gravitate towards. And I think at this moment, like you said, Secret Agent is the one that has the buzz.
But yes, Secret Agent won all 3 trifecta prizes for Best International Feature. It took New York, it took LA, it took NSFC. That is big. So let's actually just quickly, as we're talking National Society of Film Critics, let's talk about the films that won more than one trifecta prize in various categories. In picture, we get a sweep for One Battle After Another, which also won NBR. It's one of only 4 films ever to win all 4 of those prizes, being New York, LA, National Society of Film Critics, and NBR. Now, in Best Director, One Battle After Another wins LA and National Society of Film Critics, while Jafar Panahi takes New York. So we got 2 out of 3 here. Easily could have been 3 out of 3. The thing with New York is they don't love doubling up on picture and director. They kind of like to go different. So it makes sense that one battle, one picture, and they go somewhere else for director. The lead actor category, dude, this is a crazy one. Ethan Hawke has 2 out of 3 of these prizes. Isn't that nuts? Like, that's not the direction I would see it going. But it shows that there's a ton of highbrow support for Ethan Hawke, and he's either the first one out or he's like that number 4 or 5 passion nomination. Rose Byrne took 2 out of 3 of the prizes for the trifecta, while Kathleen Chalfant for Familiar Touch won the National Society of Film Critics. That's not going to happen anywhere else, so we can kind of count that out. Why did Rose Byrne lose? That's a really weird one. But yeah, Jessie Buckley didn't even get a single trifecta mention, didn't get an honorable mention anywhere. And then in supporting actor, 2 out of 3, man, Benicio del Toro. There's not a lot of sweeps this year, but Secret Agent is a sweep in international across the board. They went with it everywhere. As well, another sweep, documentary feature. All 3 went My Undesirable Friends, Last Air in Moscow, which got the shortlist at the Oscars. Can this 6-hour documentary make it into the Oscars, especially on the back of this highbrow critic love? What do you think, Dylan?
For me, I think it goes back to the last time we talked about this. If it gets the nomination, I think it goes on to win. I think with all the awards it's won so far, with the conversation around it being like, oh my gosh, this is a 6-hour doc, you gotta see it. It's important, it's great, and it's riveting. Like, I feel like its hurdle is going to be that nomination. Typically, the hurdle for the nomination is like the populist type film, the film about like a elite actor or someone that's very notable, a celebrity. And this time, it's like the opposite of that. It's about the people who don't get recognition, and if they can get their recognition for the nomination, I think it would pull off the upset over Perfect Neighbor, even if Perfect Neighbor does find itself nominated.
Now, an interesting thing that could be a tip-off for this weekend's Golden Globes, the screenplay category has gone 2 out of 3 for It Was Just an Accident. The Los Angeles Film Critics Circle and the National Society of Film Critics both went It Was Just an Accident, while New York went Marty Supreme. Now, looking back to 2023, I'm trying to see if there's any indicator of Anatomy of a Fall, but Anatomy of a Fall did not get a single screenplay mention from the trifecta groups. That year, 2 out of 3 of the trifecta groups went May December in screenplay, while the last one went All of Us Strangers. But it's so, there's no correlation with wins there, but I wonder if we could see that highbrow support in the screenplay category specifically for It Was Just an Accident. Yeah, I'm not going to bet on it right now. Do you have any takeaway from that screenplay win?
I mean, I think really for Accident, if it were to go on to win the Globe, it would be in the style of Anatomy. But I think the biggest difference with Accident right now and Anatomy in 2023 is just the conversation at large. Anatomy was the international film at that point. Zone had yet to peak. And this year, what we're seeing is Accident has probably already peaked. And the film at the moment, from the internationals at least, is The Secret Agent. It's not up for the Golden Globe for original screenplay,
It's not getting any screenplay recognition anywhere.
which tells me if the Globes are going to do something weird, and by weird, I mean not giving it to one of their picture winners. I just don't know if it would be Sentiment Value, would it be Mari Supreme, 2 films that aren't winning much over in screenplay. I just feel like this year they revert back to just giving it to one of their picture winners.
Now, just to talk general critics things before we get into predictions for these guilds, um, dude, Begonia, despite its early success with Golden Globes, NBR, AFI, Critics' Choice, it has done terribly with all other awards bodies so far. Like, it only has 3 nominations across all of the critics groups that have awarded stuff. How are you feeling about Begonia's chances right now? Are you holding strong to it?
I think it can, and I think the reason why Begonia hasn't shown up a ton is the fact that in most of the categories, it's probably the fifth slot and not a fifth slot that is a win contender. So like I understand where like if a place is only giving out screenplay for one screenplay, not original and adapted, Begonia chopped off the block. That way you can fit like the top two or top three of each category. And then for actor, Plemons isn't really getting win notices this year. Emma Stone isn't getting win notices, and lots of critics groups just do their winners. And when they don't, when they extend out to five, usually at least one of those is a little bit more, a fun type pick. So like I'm not overtly concerned with Begonia's lack of mentions across the board. The fact that it did so well out of the gate, that it's gotten what it needs to get so far. I think the real question comes to PGA. If it's in the PGA 10, it stays in my Oscar 10. If it misses the PGA 10, then yeah, I probably can take it out. And then BAFTA long list, whenever those come as well. Does it show up in the BAFTA long list of 10? For me, if it hits both of those, it's in best picture. If it makes one and not the other, then there's a conversation. If it misses both, then yeah, you got to take it out.
I am seeing more and more of a world where Begonia is a solo screenplay. I also see a world where Begonia is our Nickel Boys Women Talking screenplay picture and nothing else. Currently, I have it at my number 11 in Best Picture. And I'd love if before we got into our guild predictions for DGA and PGA, if we just quickly go through our Oscar top 10 projected Best Picture, because we haven't done that in a few weeks. But right now, I've got Begonia at number 11 because I do think that its support has really been weakening and weakening. I mean, it has Golden Globe, Critics' Choice, AFI. I misspoke earlier. It does not have NBR. But I just see no momentum for it at the moment. It just seems to be slipping more and more. So instead, at number 10, I'm sticking with Wicked for Good, which might be insane, might be stick in the mud, but I see Wicked for Good getting 5 or 6 other nominations. It's still being talked about. And we've got the SAG actor nominations. I mean, we just reacted to them earlier. So if Wicked for Good performs well at SAG, gets SAG Ensemble, gets in Grande, gets in Arrivo, gets in Stunts. I don't think it can eke out an extra nomination like it did last year for Jonathan Bailey. But if it gets the categories that it needs to at SAG, then that's showing to me that the actors are still supporting it, and I'll keep it in my Best Picture lineup. But it is very low down. Train Dreams, after winning cinematography at the CCA, even though it couldn't get into Best Drama at Golden Globes, that was a stacked category, and clearly The Secret Agent has rising passion for it. Train Dreams winning cinematography has been big for it, and I think that it's with its locked place in cinematography, with its locked place in adapted screenplay, and being a very competitive nomination for Joel Edgerton. It's between him and Ethan Hawke for that last spot in Best Actor. I feel like Train Dreams makes sense for a Best Picture nomination at this point, but I could see it drop off. Rising up the ranks, Secret Agent. It missed CCA and those other like American lists, but it got Golden Globe drama, and it's just crushing it right now. Winning Critics' Choice International Feature. We're likely going to see it win big at the Golden Globes this weekend. At least it's very possible that it does. So Secret Agent, it's number 8, and it's climbing because it was just an accident for me is dropping down the ranks. I could easily see by Golden Globes this weekend, Secret Agent leapfrogs. It was just an accident to a higher place. Then after that, I've got Marty Supreme, Frankenstein, right at about the same place. Number 6, number 5. I think they're interchangeable. I do think that Frankenstein's tech play and the fact that it's got 3 locked Oscars with costume, production design, makeup, I think that puts it above Marty Supreme right now, although Marty Supreme is doing incredibly well at the box office. Number 4, Sentimental Value. It's just doing everything it needs to. We're going to see how it performs with nominations. I see an angle where it could lose some, but it's doing every single thing that it's supposed to be doing. Number 3, Hamnet. It's slipping, but it's not slipping enough. And then, of course, Sinners, One Battle After Another are number 2 and number 1. And I think you have to have those two at the top 2. I feel like you're crazy if you've got anything else in second or first place.
And I would agree with that last sentiment. My number one is One Battle After Another, with Sinners at number two. And that's where our lists really start to divert from one another. You can call me crazy, you can call me biased a little bit. I don't know. I have Frankenstein number three. I think behind its tech wins, behind I think Netflix's campaign money. I think it's going to get into director. I think it's going to have the screenplay nomination. I think it could even have an acting win, or at least an acting top two type player. I think it's found its way up into a top five, if not top three. And I think if we were in a year five, Frankenstein would be in that five. We can say, hey, me having it at number three over Hamnet at my number four, or Sentimental Value at my number five might be a little bit more of a biased pick, but those would be my top five at the moment. I think if we were in a year five, we would have my top four, and then whatever is the strongest neon film at nomination morning, which at this point I still do think is Sentimental Value.
I mean, the thing about Sentimental Value that we keep saying, it just has other nominations that it was just an accident and The Secret Agent don't. The Secret Agent might be really strong in actor and international. It's not getting screenplay mentions. It's not getting director mentions, although that could change very soon. It was just an accident, has no acting. It is getting director, it is getting screenplay, but it has nothing outside of that. And so Sentimental Value just has that wide appeal, even if those other movies have pockets of more passion. Sentimental Value just has wider support. Now, what do you have on the bottom half of your lineup?
I think my number six and my number seven are the two films I would say are 100% locked inside the race. We have It Was Just an Accident and Marty Supreme. And then The Secret Agent is number eight, about to join that category of, hey, they're just in Best Picture, but I'm not quite to that point yet where I know you and some other people are with The Secret Agent. But it's my number eight. You can't be too mad at me down in the comments. This is where I think I have two paths to go down. I think each of these slots will go to a different type of movie. It's just what type of movie fills those slots. My number nine currently is still Begonia, and I think this could go to films like Train Dreams, films like Blue Moon, films that can get an actor, could find its way to a screenplay nomination, but not much else. Yes, Train Dreams could have score, could have song, could have cinematography come along, but it's also Netflix's number two. And what we've seen as of late, Netflix used to run three films for Best Picture and only get two in. What we've seen as of late is them really only trying for one, and their number two is in certain areas. It seems like Train Dreams is getting more of a picture play this year than what we've seen from their number twos of years past. But you could also say Jay Kelly's their number two. I'm not really of that belief, but for me, Train Dreams, it needs PGA. Basically, Begonia, Train Dreams, which one gets the PGA is the one I slot into my number nine slot at the Oscars. Or Blue Moon, a Blue Moon gets PGA, but I still have Blue Moon as just Ethan Hawke and screenplay. But I'm getting close to putting The Secret Agent in over Blue Moon as my fifth slot in original.
So, question for you, because we're about to get into PGA. Last year, you said if Nosferatu gets PGA, I'm putting it in Best Picture. Would you do the same for F1 this year?
Yes, and that's exactly what I'm getting into. My 10th slot. My 10th slot is the blockbuster slot. We got three blockbuster films. They all have one glaring thing going for them and lots of stuff going against them. Wicked is currently my number 10, and that's off of what you just mentioned. It's got love from so many different components of the Academy. It's got actors going behind, like Ariana Grande, maybe Cynthia Erivo getting it over at SAG and SAG Ensemble. It's got the text and craft departments, both for production design, costumes, potentially over for music for original song, maybe even score. I'm not going to predict score, but it got score last year, so at least you know the score branch does or are receptive to this movie. And then there's other various texts where maybe it's not in the top five, but it's in at least the top 10, as we've seen from the short list. Avatar, it's got the money, it's got the hype at this very moment, but it missed out on a lot of our big things in the lead up. Golden Globes it missed out on, CCA it missed out on. It got the other two though. And I feel like it has the most conversation about it at this very moment, but is that for awards, or is that just for box office and general audience seemingly to really love this movie? I would say most of the three blockbusters. And then we have F1. It just won two CCA awards. It probably should find its way onto the PGA list. I mean, it's one of the most profitable movies of this year, and it's very much international skewing, which we know the Academy is becoming more and more. And I could see F1 having a really good day at the BAFTAs, which I don't see stuff like Avatar or Wicked happen. So currently Wicked and Begonia are my 9 and 10. But as I said, those are my alternatives where if PGA or SAG, by the time we're seeing this, tells me other things, then maybe those lists will start to change a little bit. But my top eight are going to remain my top eight, barring anything crazy. But I don't think anything crazy can really happen before the Oscars because, like, unless like Secret Agent blanks on like every BAFTA long list, I think it will just stay at my number eight.
Okay, so let's move to PGA, which is happening this Friday. It's happening on Friday. So, to go through some of these potential nominees, I'm just gonna say right off the bat, the one movie of my top 10 at the Oscars that I'm dropping, it's not The Secret Agent, it was just an accident. So I am keeping The Secret Agent in, which is maybe absolutely insane. But I'm dropping It Was Just an Accident to put Begonia in. This is my last stand for Begonia. If Begonia misses PGA, I'm completely removing it from the possibilities. Um, but do you have any swaps between your Best Picture lineup and your PGA lineup?
I have at least two, if not three. I'm dropping Secret Agent. I'm dropping It Was Just an Accident. And I am putting in F1 and Avatar. I'm having all three blockbusters get in at PGA. I'm hedging my bets. Do all three get in? Probably not, but I think at least two will get in. And do I want to predict the odd one out? Not really. I maybe should make room for Train Dreams and cut out, let's say, F1, but
Avatar. You
uh,
should cut out Avatar. I don't think it's doing
I
that
don't think
well.
P. I think this is the type of movie PGA just does. The movie that makes a profit, the movie that is one of the biggest movies of the year, and it's got the conversation behind it right now. If anything, I think a weird PGA thing to do would be maybe Knives Out, but Netflix is putting no campaign behind it, so I'm not entertaining it. But if it shows up at PGA, I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, what? This is crazy. It's just like, oh, PGA doesn't care. They just like fun movies out of the conversation at this point.
My argument for Secret Agent here as an international representative over It Was Just an Accident is think about it this way. What was like as a production, the biggest achievement that It Was Just an Accident accomplished is that they did it in secret around the Iranian government. But in terms of that, that means that it was an insanely small crew. They didn't they like it was the smallest production they could possibly do. Which I think the PGA will see as like a wow, that's a great story. But you look at Secret Agent, they funneled money into that thing. And I feel like the PGA is more receptive to films that have big production rather than interesting production.
Part of me wants to just be bold and say no international movies here. They revert back to their old ways. I can put Train Dreams
Why would
in.
they ever drop sentimental value, though?
That's why I'm not doing it. But a part of me wants to make that switch, but I'm not doing it. So currently, I have I would consider the top six in the Oscar race. You pluck out the Neon number two, number three, and you throw in the other two blockbusters, and then you have my 10 for PGA. But I understand if someone has one of Netflix's movies of like Jay Kelly or Train Dreams getting in over Begonia, or they only want to do two of the blockbusters. But that's my 10 for PGA. And my hope here is to go 9 for 10. I'm not expecting 10 for 10, but 9 for 10. That's what I
10
want.
to 10 is a good benchmark. Now, DGA, I am going to go off of my Oscar lineup, which includes Jafar Panahi. I'm dropping Jafar Panahi, and I am putting in Guillermo del Toro. So my lineup here is first place, One Battle After Another, then Sinners, then Hamnet, then Sentimental Value, and then Frankenstein. I think that one of Frankenstein and Marty Supreme make it. I don't think both make it.
And I currently have them both in. I just took out all the neon people, and I have the five American productions of One Battle, Sinners, Frankenstein, Hamnet, and Marty Supreme in that order. I would say if one was going to miss, Marty Supreme is the one I would take out. My more so question comes to is which neon director would I include between the three of them? And I don't have a good answer for that because I feel like Sentimental Value is the strongest movie, but I think Panahi is the strongest director inside of the race. I don't really want to make that choice, so I'm just going with the five non-neon movies.
Well, what I would say in terms of DGA is like DGA likes people that work somewhat in the American idiom, and Joachim Trier does. And like last year, we saw Jacques Audiard be an international filmmaker that made it into DGA. And he makes sense for that the way that Joachim Trier makes sense for this, the way that both Jonathan Glazer and the way that both Jonathan Glazer and Justine Trier did not make sense for it. I do think sentimental value makes more sense here, especially because the film is like half of an American production. So yeah, I'm gonna go sentimental value, and I'm gonna stick with it. I feel like Panahi has the director's respect, but DGA is so much bigger than the director's branch of the Oscars. And while the director's branch of the Oscars likely have more love for Panahi, DGA, I think, includes people who will go Trier.
That's fair. I think knowing people who actually vote for DGA, I don't think they would even consider an international movie unless it's like being force fed to them, like what we saw with Amelia Perez last year. But who knows? Who knows? I think that both of our lists will probably be 4 for 5, and it's
I think so.
just where does that one come out from? But that moves us over to our final thing that we'll talk about today is best directing for a first-time filmmaker, which none of us know because we don't know the exact list of who is either listed as eligible or who is being eligible because they've sometimes nominated people who have already directed a feature. All I know is, barring something really crazy, Eva Victor will win this category and she'll be nominated.
Absolutely. Eva Victor wins. This is an interesting category because it usually goes very far off of what we expect. It goes artsy as fuck sometimes, and it goes international as hell. But I'm not going international in my lineup. I've got Sorry Baby, Kristen Stewart's The Chronology of Water. I've got in here. I feel very good about that. I think The Plague by Charlie Pollinger is picking up a lot of steam right now, as is Ephus. And then I threw in a cool Taiwanese American film called Blue Sun Palace as my last pick. So that's my 5. But I'm seeing a lot of people predicting Urchin, Pillion. I wouldn't go Urchin or Pillion, both too British. I don't feel like British movies get in here. I could see If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, but that's not a feature debut. Mary Bronstein has like 2 other movies before this. I'd be very surprised if they considered it.
Well,
Yeah,
here's a question I have for you: is Sound of Fallen eligible? Because I've seen some people say it is and some people say it isn't.
that's a great question. Masha Shalinsky does have another film. I just don't know if they're going to consider it because it never got an American release.
For mine, I have Sorry Baby, The Plague, and My Father's Shadow as the 3 I feel good about. I think My Father's Shadow fits both their highbrow taste, their international taste, as well as something that's been getting prizes so far. But from there is where I don't really know where to go because I do agree. I think Pillion is something that everyone's predicting, therefore it's not going to happen. I think Sound of Fallen is something I have in. It's just, is it eligible or not? I'm willing to give up that slot in the event that it is. And then for my 5th slot, I had Urchin in. I think Urchin and Chronology of Water feel the same, where they're both from an actor that people know, and it's just, will they take the actor serious as a director? We don't really know what this
Could
branch
add
kind of
in
feels
Eleanor the
like.
Great to that too.
That too, but no one talks about Eleanor the Great. At least these other 2 people talk about.
Yeah.
And then the other one I had on my list was The President's Cake, but I don't know if I want to go 3 international films out of my 5. And then Ephus is here. Ephus is one that always trips me up, just like On Becoming a Guinea Fowl last year. These are movies I saw over a year ago. They don't feel like 2025 movies, but
That's true. Anyways, I think that brings us to the end of this roundup slash predictions. We will be back next week to talk about all of the nominations that have happened since. And there's so much exciting stuff coming up. We should be doing our final Oscar predictions in the next week and a half or so, which is crazy.
yeah, I mean, this episode had everything you subscribe to Fantasy Filmball for. We had live reactions to the SAG, or I guess the Actor Awards. We had recapping an award show, the Critics' Choice, and we had predicting award shows like DGA and PGA. So if you're not already subscribed, you've made this far in the video, what are you doing? Just subscribe. You watched us for at least an hour. That must mean you at least thought us were entertaining, or we were so stupid that it's fun. And I like it. Helps the channel continue to grow. Comment down below your predictions out there because I'm sure you disagree with either Matt or myself. We had some bold and wild swings here today.
Anyways, thank you so much for watching. As always, my name's Matt.
My name's Dill, and this has been Fantasy Filmball.